It's June, and so we welcome you back to the return of the Grueling Truths CFL preview show. It's our first show of the year as the games are playing this week. Happily, we have the usual gang of suspects with us tonight. Let's start off with our man from the Grey Cup, the four-time Grey Cup champion, Robert Drummond. Robert, I haven't spoken to you this year. How has 2017 been treating you?
Everything in 2017 has been pretty good so far. You know, I have no complaints. You know, I expect a banner year this year since it started out so well, so I have no complaints at all.
All right. Good on you. All right. Second, we've got the fearless leader of the Grueling Truth, Mike Goodpaster. Mike, I've spoken to you about 7 million times this year, and you do about 37 shows on thegruelingtruth.net, so I'm sure everybody knows how you are. But how are you?
Yeah, I'm just freaking outstanding, Oz.
Freaking outstanding. All right. Well, that's freaking outstanding. All right. Fantastic. And last but certainly not least, we have Brian Schmidt, the head coach of the Wichita Falls Nighthawks. Oh, I'm sorry, not head coach, offensive line coach, and about 47 other things for that team. And he's also the guy that we have on the show to help keep Goodpaster in line. How you doing, Brian? How's your year been so far?
Well, my season's over, 12 wins, and I'm not in the playoffs. So,
so it's the Matt Castle season. It's the Matt Castle year. Yeah,
been one of them years, but doing good otherwise. Ready for another CFL season. You know,
all right.
I'm here to keep either Mike in line or to egg him on. So it just depends on the week.
You've never kept me in line. You know you've egged me on, though.
Yeah, I was pretty much. Yeah, you're right. I pretty much egged you on.
Keep me in line's no fun because then you got to be in line with me. But if you egg me on, it's hard telling what the hell's going to happen.
See.
On this inaugural show of the season, I'm just setting that bar really, really high.
Yeah, we can tell you some stories about him egging me on and what's happened, and sometimes he didn't even have to egg me on. So.
No, pretty much. Sometimes I just had to sit there and cheerlead.
Yeah, he pretty much just let it go. We left a trail of destruction from northern Kentucky all the way down through Owensboro, Kentucky. So.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian, are you a cheerleader for the Wichita Falls Nighthawks as well?
No, that's the one thing I haven't done yet.
Oh, okay.
Give me a minute.
Checking. You introduced yourself as a cheerleader there. So, all right. Anyway, let's get to talking some CFL football because it's been so long. I am almost on a Jones. I have a weekly show here, the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast, but we have not been doing it regularly this offseason. I'm glad to get back into action. Normally at this part of the show, we would talk about impressions from last week. Of course, there was no last week, unless you count preseason games. Anybody watch any of the preseason games? Anybody? I didn't think so.
Sorry? They count for nothing.
Right. Oh, yes. I remember from last year, Robert was a very big fan of the preseason games. So, yes, I'm sure you did not watch them. I watched about 20, 30 minutes of the Montreal game until Darian Durant sat down. So that's it for me. So there you have it, fans. We've averaged about 5 minutes of preseason game watching all off-season. However, we do know some things. We've kept up, been reading, watching the transactions, ready to make fearless predictions in Goodpaster's case, I'm sure. I'd like to put it out there for you guys. What do you expect to see this Grey Cup season? This CFL season. I'll go to Robert first. Robert, what are you looking for this season?
Should be actually quite interesting this season. You know, with the season going on. You know, it's just like any football season. You know, a lot of newcomers are going to shine. A lot of the veterans are going to shine. You know, it's just. It's the one thing with football I always say is that football is football. It's like, you know, you learn the game, you understand the game, you try and play it as best you can. You know, it'll be interesting to see how this season plays out. You know, I mean, I watched where an athlete as talented as Vince Young couldn't make a team, so it's just like, wow, CFL is pretty talented, pretty athletic. I mean, they're always comparing themselves to the NFL, but stop comparing themselves to the NFL. It's like an athlete that actually couldn't make your league that made the NFL. So that says a lot about the CFL.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what it says about the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but I'm gonna give
that is true.
I'm gonna give that one to the coaches in a little bit. I wanted to throw this one out there. We've got a bit of an interesting situation in the CFL this year, sort of the post-John Elway Broncos situation, where you have a defending champion team, and yet bam goes the quarterback that got them there. Bam goes most of that receiving core that was catching from that quarterback. I'll throw it to you, Mike. What are you looking for out of the Red Blacks this season? What kind of chances did they have to repeat?
I think they have a good chance. I mean, not necessarily to repeat, but I think they're going to be a good team because they've got Trevor Harris. And, I mean, if you remember at the start of last year when Trevor Harris was healthy, they looked like the best team the first 4 or 5 weeks. And then he went down and then, had a little bit of problems there. They get it back together, finish strong at the end. But I think they're a well-coached team. I think they're a well-run organization. And I think Trevor Harris is a legit quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Red Blacks, of course, were one of the few teams that gave their starters some real quality time in this preseason, and he looked really nice in that first preseason game against Hamilton, who was also starting a bunch of their starters. So quality show there in Ottawa. Do you see it the same way, Brian? And yeah. Go ahead and give me this one because I got another one for you after this, Brian.
Yeah, I'm a big Trevor Harris fan. I think Ottawa will be fine. The problem is if he goes down, what's there, and that's the only problem. But I mean, you could really say that about just about every team in the CFL right now because I think the CFL right now, this may be the best group of quarterbacks that maybe the CFL has ever seen at one time. To me, I mean, this is a lot of really good quarterbacks in this league. And, but I think Ottawa definitely is a good team.
That's a big statement to make. I mean, I mean playing with Dan McManus, Doug Flutie, Anthony Calvillo, that's a big statement.
Yeah, I mean that was great, but I mean this group, I think this. I know was having a conversation with Mike. I think we were talking about some of these guys that right now that legitimately could be and maybe should be in the NFL. So, I mean, there's some real good quarterbacks in this league. It's definitely quarterback heavy. I mean, there was a time where CFL, you had 2 or 3 good quarterbacks and not a lot there. And this is definitely a time where CFL is seeing some really good quarterback play. So,
that's an interesting contention, Brian. But I get this. Here's my concern. And I was talking with Joe about this on the Rouge, White, and Blue a couple of weeks ago. Is this? We've seen in the past 2 or 3 years how essential that backup quarterback is for most teams. And I tell you what, I look around this league and I don't see too much in the way of quality backups, with the exception of maybe Edmonton this year. And I think that's gonna knock 1 or 2 of these teams, if not out of the playoffs, at least far down that division level. I think as soon as a quarterback like a Bo Levi-Mitchell goes down, that team's fortunes could be sunk. Don't you think? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, and that's the whole thing. And we saw it last year. With the amount of quarterbacks went down. That's the one thing that having that quality backup. But that's the one thing right now. I mean, you see the starting quarterbacks in this league, how good they are, and then you get 1 or 2 guys down. If you don't have a quality backup, you're sunk. So it's interesting. To me, I feel like the CFL needs to put maybe more stock in their offensive lines, and because the defensive lines have been pretty good, and these quarterbacks are going down. So rather than making these rules against blowing on a quarterback and you got a 15-yard penalty, they need to do something to upgrade the offensive lines, which I think will make the game even more exciting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Mike, you're of course well known as a peacemaker. Where would you stand on this question of?
That's not the messages I got over the weekend after my Colin Kaepernick. But all right, go ahead.
Where do you stand on this question of, say, the quarterbacks in the CFL today versus the quarterbacks in Robert's time, say, circa 2000, 2001?
Okay,
where would you go on that?
I can see Robert's contention, but I don't think Brian's contention was that the top 3 or 4 were better than we've ever seen. I think his contention is there's more depth here. I think there's more depth here with starting quarterbacks. At least I think that's what Brian's contention is.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. There's a great number of starting quarterbacks in terms from top to bottom that are good quarterbacks, as opposed to where you have 3 or 4 good, really quality quarterbacks, and then after that it falls off dramatically. It's like the NFL. I mean, you've got that top tier quarterbacks, and then it just slowly starts to drop. Where the CFL, it's fairly good group of quarterbacks from a starting standpoint. And once you start getting into backups, now it's a whole different story.
Yeah, but that's the same thing in the NFL too.
I mean, even say a statement. I mean, like, no disrespect to the statement, but it's like, I played in the era of quarterbacks of Tracy Ham, Hall of Fame; Damon Allen, Hall of Fame; Doug Flutie, Hall of Fame; Danny McManus. I mean, Anthony Garcia. I mean, I can go on and on with quarterbacks I played with, the era I played. So it's like, that's a tough crowd to live up to. But I tell you, the quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think that's a discussion that we're really not going to know the answer for another 5 to 10 years, and see what guys like Trevor Harris do.
I completely agree. You're right. You're absolutely right. Because those guys could all possibly one day make the Hall of Fame, but I'm just talking about what actually is a reality right now, as opposed to what could possibly be.
Yeah, but I do think with the potential of those guys, I think it is possible.
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah, it is possible.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation, I think, because by the names look really good right now. But you've got, for example, on that list, you've got Ricky Ray. I mean, literally, how many more games is he good for? You've got a lot of guys at the end of their career. You've got a lot of guys who we suspect we still have not seen the best of, like Jennings, for BC. You've got huge question marks like Caleros, who clearly has lots of talent, but I'm starting to wonder, and I wanted to ask this question too, so I'll throw this one out here. I'm starting to wonder if that injury Caleros suffered in 2015 is lingering. I'm wondering if that really slowed him down, and I wonder if he's ever going to get back that brilliance we saw 2 years ago. What would your feeling be on that, Mike? You were a big Caleros fan last year.
I'm still a big Caleros fan. I have been since he was in college, and I think the injury will linger as long as they don't have an offensive line in front of him.
Yeah, offensive line cures a lot of ills, that's for sure.
Yes, it does.
Let's go on to this one. The Sportsbook has, of course, predictably, the Stampeders as the favorite to take the Grey Cup this year. Only at 7-2 odds, though, which I still am kind of mind-boggled by. I can't believe it's that high. CFL news, Canadian newspapers are already really getting old with this redemption storyline. And I wanted to ask Robert as a player first, and also I'd like to ask the coaches afterward. Do teams actually set out on the road to redemption at the beginning of the season? I mean, from the outside, we like to talk about this all the time because it's a nice narrative. But is that feeling really in the locker room? Are the Stamps right now really going, we have to win this year because of last year?
No. I mean, I remember my first year in the CFL, we actually played in the 1994 Grey Cup. We played against the BC Lions. And I was playing for Baltimore, and they actually beat us. And I just remember just coming back that next year. There was nothing about a redemption. It was basically about, it's like, it's like, wow. I mean, it was our first CFL game. It was the first championship. And it's like, we lost. Correct the mistakes we had. We were a better team. We should have won that game. So it's not so much about redemption. It's you believe in yourself. You understand you have the talent to be able to go out there and be better than the person beside you. You just go out there and doing it. It's just about going out there and proving to yourself you are as good as you think you are. That has nothing to do with redemption.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Brian, I'd ask the same question of you. Do you pretty much in line with what Robert says there?
Yeah. Okay. Everybody always makes these ridiculous, redemption, and you know what? It's a whole new year. Of course, you're, if you were going into this year going, we didn't win a championship last year. I don't know if we're going to win this year. Why are you playing? every year you're playing for a championship, and it's not about redemption. It's about winning. That's what we all are here for. We're all to win football games and win a championship.
Yeah.
And that comment just I read. In fact, actually, before I called in, I actually was reading one of those redemption articles, and
one of those, yeah.
Just no kidding. And only because I swear there must have been 4 or 5 of them, but I could have clicked on, and it just boggles my mind. I mean, but again, that's media. I don't think football. I've never seen a football team talk like that, but the media is going to deal with that because it's what everybody wants to hear.
Mm-hmm. 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 What is the mentality for the Stamps going into the season? I mean, last year.
I thought you could ask me what redemption was, but. Since I'm from Indiana, I get that a lot where people ask me the meaning of words just try to catch me on it. Go ahead.
Okay, so tell me, what is the Stamps mentality this season? Here they go. Last year, they played pretty much as perfect a season as you can in modern football, and still came up just a little bit short. They've got basically all the same guys with a couple of exceptions. Bakari Grant is gone, but not much else. What is their mentality going into the season? How confident are they that they can win this thing?
Well, I mean, they've got the best offensive line. They've got the best running back. They've got probably the best quarterback. They've got a really good defense. They're going in with the mindset that they're not going to lose a game would be my guess, but that's the mindset everybody should go into the season with. So They've got the best players. They've got a great coach. I mean, they're going to be there at the end. I'm not saying they're going to win the Grey Cup, but they have to be the favorite. They're the most talented team. They're the team most prepared to do this, barring any, major injuries. I mean, they have to go in. Put it like this. I think every team that is going into this season in the CFL believes they can win. The difference is, and this may not make any sense because they didn't win it last year and Ottawa did, but I think Calgary goes in knowing they're going to win. If that makes any sense. Because anybody can believe anything, but they know they are the best team. And they know that they screwed up last year and didn't finish it off. Really thinking about it and thinking about how good they are, it would really surprise me, barring some major injuries, if they don't win it all this year.
Okay, let's while I got the coach on the line here, let's do something completely different. Let's talk Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now, I think nobody really knows what to expect from these guys this season. In the off-season, of course, this team had more transactions than any other team, more guys coming in, more guys going out, including Mr. Vince Young, and we talked about at the top of the program. I guess my question here is not whether Chris Jones knows what he's doing, but rather how long should we expect it to take to build a good roster that he's happy with and wants to go forward with?
Is that a real question?
Who are you asking?
Yeah, that was for Mike. That's for Mike.
Oh, that's for Mike. All right.
Sorry.
I would say in the CFL, I don't know. I think Robert played in the CFL. I think the question may be a little bit better for Robert, but Robert, I would say you would expect, a couple years, 2-3 years?
Are you kidding me? That organization, and I don't mean this in a bad way because I have nothing but respect for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, as a train wreck from top to bottom right now. They don't.
Yeah, but I think he's talking about Chris Jones, and Chris Jones already had his first year. I think, and I may be wrong, but Oz, was your question, how long should it take him to turn it around?
Yeah, to me, it's just that, here's a team that it seems like from
because they've been a cluster ever since he got there, and I think damn near he may have made them worse.
That's what some people are saying. I mean, I guess for me, like, what's the statute of limitations here? Like, how long should this be taking for at least him to choose a squad that he wants to go forward with? I mean, I don't even know if he knows, who his quarterback is. I mean,
and I think my point is, from the start of last year, his first season, I think you would have expected, I think a Rough Rider fan, an honest one, expects that it's going to take a couple years. I think with what they've done in the last year, I think it's probably going to take a couple more, and if he doesn't look a lot better this year, it's probably going to be looking like 2 or 3 more years for a new coach.
Yes,
Wow.
I agree.
Wow, that's your feeling on that too, Robert? Okay. Well,
Yes.
where would you be on this, Brian? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree all across the board.
Wow.
Look, he's made it worse. In my opinion, from what I've seen, he's absolutely made it worse. It's one thing to go in and rebuild a program, and your first year is always the most difficult year. But the thing you want to come out with after that first year is you want to come out with a foundation, the idea of here's what we've built, this is what we're doing. Now that second year, we're going to get the players we want, fits in, here we go. In my opinion, there's no foundation. If anything, they bombed what was there, and now there's a big hole in the ground, and they're trying to dig up out of it.
The draft was terrible. It made no sense this year.
Yeah. To me, I would honestly feel like this is going to be his last year, unless there's a significant, improvement in wins and everything. Because you can't do what they did last year, have the off season they had, and then do the same thing this year from a win standpoint, and expect it to be around. It just doesn't work that way.
Right. Okay. So just one more on this. One more question on this one, and then we can go on to the week's games. But one more. I'm having a heck of a time looking at this schedule, looking at this season, and figuring out how the Eskimos and Bombers will turn out. It looks like one of these teams is on the decline, one's on the up, but I can't tell for sure. What would you pick? If you had to pick, Robert, what would you pick for these two teams?
Oof.
Right, exactly.
I mean, ouch. That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's I mean,
it's almost
that's
as though it's almost as though everybody thinks they know what to expect from the other 7 teams. It's just these two, like nobody can peg. What's your feeling on this, Brian? You got any thoughts on these two teams?
Well, it's funny when you mention that, because as I was just looking at my tablet, preseason week 2, Edmonton 38, Winnipeg 38. I think
right.
Just there's something that look, Edmonton has Riley. That in itself, to me, always gives them a chance. He's one of the better quarterbacks in this league. That always gives them a chance. But defensively, I don't know, they'll be very good. Winnipeg, it's like, boy, they could be that playoff team from last year, or they could go back to being a 4 or 5-win team. And I don't know. I have not, my feeling is with Edmonton, as long as you have a quarterback like Riley, you have a shot. The problem is, offensive line's an issue, maybe an issue, defensively maybe an issue. So, but as long as you have that really good quarterback, you always have a shot.
Okay. Mike, no stranger to fearless predictions. Why don't you tell me how Edmonton and Winnipeg will fare this year, and also why don't you give me your Grey Cup pick?
My Grey Cup pick? Why the hell did that get dropped on me? I was the last one to ask the question. My Grey Cup pick is Calgary to win it all. My Edmonton-Winnipeg is Edmonton's a team that I think in the offseason may have got a little bit better on the offensive line, but I still don't see where their defense has improved that much. So I think you're looking at a 500 team, give or take a game or two here or there, just because of Riley. Riley gives them a shot to be a playoff team. And let's face it, Riley gives them a shot to be able to play with anybody. Now, I think their defense keeps them from being able to beat a team like Calgary in a big game situation. Winnipeg's a team I don't think anybody expected to do what they did last year. Usually teams like that the next year don't tend to do as well. So I think Winnipeg drops off a little bit, and I think Edmonton stays around the 500 mark.
Well, the big thing, of course, about Winnipeg last year was the plus 27 turnover differential they had during the season. They're not going to do that this year. I think I'm pretty safe with that.
And that's the other thing. I mean, I've seen teams do that before. I mean, the 2005 Bengals, their defense was not that good, but they got like 50 turnovers that year, and they go 11-5, make the playoffs. The next year, they get 18, and they're 9-7, 8-8.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how it always comes back to the Bengals. Anyway,
yeah,
Robert.
And I would also like to say that the Steelers suck, Brian, but go ahead.
By the way.
And Robert played for the
Well,
Eagles.
I want to also mention that it merely took 25 minutes for him to bring that up.
Good job.
You're slipping, boy. You're slipping.
This is the first show you've done this year, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, I've been heavy into a season going 12-4 and not making the playoffs.
No, well, it's because Brian can't talk about nothing but football. He doesn't know anything about baseball.
Well, actually, I know a lot about baseball, but nobody ever asked me my opinion.
Show. Well, because I don't do baseball shows either, so we got baseball guys. Because let's face it, if we got to do a baseball show, that's going to be boring. Go ahead.
Pretty much.
Hey, we could use somebody doing a weekly Pittsburgh Penguin show if you want to, Brian.
That's possible.
Yeah, well, they're the Stanley Cup champions, so.
Yeah, we might as well jump on that train.
Okay, Robert, you want to hedge a bet? What do you like in the Grey Cup?
Who you asking?
Oh, I got that for Robert. Robert, you want to hedge a bet? What do you got in the Grey Cup?
What did you say?
Who do you like in the Grey Cup this season?
Calgary's just like we were. Calgary's the team to beat, you know?
Okay. All right. Brian, you want to make it unanimous? Calgary?
Yeah, Calgary.
Okay.
Going with Calgary. We're going with Calgary, but my sleeper is always going to be Hamilton because I don't know why. As long as Zach is there,
we're both in love with Zach Collaros, but that's all right.
Pretty much.
Zach likes me better.
Yeah.
Hey, I will tell you this. My sleeper team is the Montreal Alouettes with Darren Durant.
Yeah. I'm trying to avoid, as a fan, that sort of line of thinking because, it's really easy to be convinced by 25, 30 minutes as a fan of
I'm not off of
football.
that. I just like Darren Durant. But
yeah, I'm trying to stay away from that. I picked them really low on the Rouge, White, and Blue podcast. But
they were a team that got better as the year went on last year.
I guess we can say that. Yeah.
After Pop wasn't head coach anymore. But are we going to pick some games tonight, or what?
Yes, we are now going. Well, yes, Mike. Can we? Let's pick some games. First game, opening game. I'm not sure this is the game that everybody wants to see, but it is the Darren Durant revenge game. Saskatchewan at Montreal. Montreal goes into this game as, let's see, I have 6.5-point favorites. So basically, they're favored by a touchdown at the sports
We pick them with the point spreads this year?
Yeah, we can if you want.
Okay.
We like Montreal by about a touchdown, according to the book.
I agree.
Okay, go ahead, Robert. Let's start with you. What do you like?
I mean, I agree. Montreal, is just. I mean, I favor them by a touchdown because it's just a strong play. It's just and I want to say, and I'd be behooved to not mention the passing of the late great coach Don Matthews, who was my mentor in the CFL, who basically brought me up, and it just nurtured me into the player I was. It's just playing when you play for a coach like that in your heart and things of that nature who just meant so much to your organization. You play at a different level. And Coach Matthews, got the best out of his players. He got the best out of his organization. And I'd be remiss without saying, just giving him respect and and what he meant to the CFL game. Because he's truly a legend.
Yeah, thanks for doing so, Robert. Okay, Brian, let's go to you. Saskatchewan and Montreal, the Darren Durant revenge game. What do you like?
Yeah, it's going to go with Montreal, which last year I never did, and I was right by that. So this year I'm going to be different. I'm going to take Montreal. I think Montreal, obviously they've improved offensively, which was the big thing last year. This was a team that as I remember Mike saying last year, Montreal's offense was pretty much on, a menstrual cycle.
They couldn't score points. My God.
Right, they couldn't score points until the period started.
Like a woman. Or they bled.
As soon as, it was just like, every 4 weeks they'd have a great offensive game, then come back the next week and score 5 points for the next 4 weeks. And it was crazy. I think they're better offensively. I think that if the defense can continue to play at a good level offensively, they're going to score some points. Are they going to go to the Grey Cup? I doubt that. But playoff team, I think definitely they can be a playoff team. And I think
yes, I agree.
With this offense, I think it gives them a chance to win some games where last year they were close but couldn't do it offensively.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah, if we're putting Edmonton and Winnipeg at that 500 level, you've got to figure that the Alouettes are going to make a playoff run here. They've got to go at least 500, you would guess, and be number 3 in the East at least if Durant is worth his salt. Mike, what do you see for this game?
I think Montreal wins this game easy.
Oh yeah, I'm on a touchdown. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Montreal minus the points on this one. After a season of chaos from Jones last year and a weird off season, I can't imagine that they're suddenly going to put it all together and beat a team that apparently can put up a lot of points really quick.
This is the first time in over a year that we've been doing a show that you picked Montreal and everybody didn't just make fun of you.
Yeah. Hey, maybe
I don't know if that's a sign that Montreal's gotten better or Chris Jones has just really screwed stuff up in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, just wait for the NFL Pick'em show when I'm going with Cleveland every week again. Then you guys
and then the 1 week you didn't pick Cleveland.
They're going to beat the Jets this year.
Okay. Right. What's the next game?
Second game. The Grey Cup.
Focus, Oz.
I'm focused. Second game, the Grey Cup rematch. Calgary Stampeders at Ottawa Redblacks. As we mentioned before, the Ottawa Redblacks first unit looked really good in that one preseason game. It seems like they'll put up a decent team this year. Calgary Stampeders basically stayed the same from preseason, didn't lose too many guys to free agency, et cetera, et cetera. Brian, what do you like here?
All right, my heart wants to pick Ottawa because Ottawa is another one of the teams that I like to watch. So my heart wants to pick Ottawa, but my brain tells me you never go against the New England Patriots of the CFL. I'm going.
Don't get off the horse.
So, going with Calgary.
Right. So, yeah, the Stamps are just 2.5 favorites away. 2.5-point favorites away. Robert, who do you think in this game?
You know what? Ottawa has something to prove, but Calgary is just the cream of the crop. You know, I mean, like as you said, they've really lost no one. They have the same players in place. They understand it. It's like when I was in Toronto. They understand how good they are. They're the best. They're the most dominant team in the CFL. Each week they just have to go out there and not prove it to anybody else, just prove it to themselves. Just go out there and just do what they do. When they do what they do, they're the best team in the CFL, and it's Calgary.
Okay, I'm going to give Mike a chance to make fun of me here, or agree with me and go against the herd. But I'm going to.
Well, usually it's either one or the other.
It's got to be one or the other. I usually just shake my head in disgust and feel sorry for you, Oz, but go ahead.
Right, exactly. That's what I was trying to avoid there, because it doesn't make for a real good podcast if you're shaking your head. In any case, Ottawa's a 2.5 underdog in this game. I'm going to take them plus the points. Okay, here's the argument. Now, I don't like going to history stats that much, but this Calgary team has basically stayed the same over the last 3 years. Now, over the last 3 years, in the first 3 weeks, this team has gone 5-2-1. Which doesn't sound that bad, but this means that they are 3 times more likely not to win a game in those first 3 games than the rest of the season. This tells me that they have a little bit of trouble getting started in the season. We saw what happened last year where they just couldn't get up quite enough to beat the Lions, lost by 2 points. I think that as long as we all agree that Calgary won't go undefeated this season, that this is the game which they might lose. So I'm going to say it's at least a super close 1-point game, maybe even an overtime game, maybe even a tie game like they had last year. Mike, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I would like to make fun of you, but I'm going to agree with you. And it's not that I think Ottawa's better. I just think that usually, I mean, let's face it, the first week of the season, whether it's the NFL or the CFL, you usually get a couple games that shock you. But by the time you get to mid-season, late season, you know that Calgary's the better team. I'm going to go with Ottawa at home. I mean, I know that Calgary's on the big redemption song or whatever, redemption tour, but I think Ottawa probably is tired of hearing that Calgary's better than them, even though they won the Grey Cup last year. And I really like Trevor Harris. And I think Trevor Harris is going to go off and have a humongous game here, and I think Ottawa wins the game.
Okay, there you go. Fantasy players take Trevor Harris.
Or loses by 2.5 points or less.
Okay. Mike, let me throw this one back at you then. Here we got the Edmonton Eskimos at the BC Lions. Now, the BC Lions are only favored by 3 points here. I'm not too sure that I would bet against Wally Buono on opening day. What's your feeling here, Mike?
I think BC's just got a more complete team. I like Jonathan Jennings, even though he's young. He's also a year older than what he was last year. I assume that we won't see some critical mistakes or not as many critical mistakes at crucial times. I think BC's got the better team. I think they got the better coach. You always got the Mike Riley, which is always scary to go against. But I'm going to take the Lions and give it 3 points. Okay.
Robert, what do you think?
That's a bigger rivalry than you think. We hated BC when Edmonton. Edmonton and Calgary, we loathed, you know. We could stomach Saskatchewan, but whenever we play Edmonton, whenever we play Calgary, it was a huge rivalry. So I think Jennings just that does enough, you know, to push BC back, you know, push BC past them to win this game. I just think in opening day, I just think BC wants it a little bit more than Edmonton. I mean, I don't know why, but it's just a gut feeling.
Oh, okay. And Brian, what's your take on this one?
I'm going to go with BC as well. Again, the Riley factors make it hard to always makes it hard, but BC is a complete team. I think we're going to see an even better Jennings this year. I think BC is going to be a more consistent team this year, and I think it's going to start this week with a good quality win against Edmonton.
Okay, last and maybe least, Hamilton Tiger Cats at Toronto Argonauts. Now, this line's got me puzzled because they've got Hamilton, again, as an away favorite, but just by 3 points over Toronto. And I think that Jim Pop, the new general manager over there in Toronto, is doing the right things. I think he's building that roster the right way. I think he had a nice draft taking the kid Wood, the huge kid, the Canadian that he can play on the offensive line from game one. Okay, I think this stuff is important, but I also think that Pop's plans are medium to long term. I really can't see them winning early and often this season. I really got to go with Hamilton, despite the fact that I don't know how Collaros will be. I don't know what to expect from these Tiger Cats, but I'm going to take them minus the 3 away regardless. I just am not feeling the Argos this season. Brian, what do you think on this one? Hamilton at Toronto.
Going with Hamilton.
Okay.
I agree with everything that you said. And
thanks.
Absolutely. And I think that we're going to see Hamilton come out. And again, as Hamilton will go as far as Zach and that defense will take them, and I just don't think Toronto right now is a threat. Again, I agree that they're building for that long term. So I think it's going to be a tough year for Toronto this year.
Defense may be a question for Hamilton. They lost an awful lot of defensive backs in free agency, and while they did draft quite a few, it might take a while for those youngsters to kick in a little bit. So Hamilton might be giving up a lot of points in the passing game early this season. Robert, what are you thinking about this game? Hamilton at Toronto.
I mean, Hamilton will go as far as Collaros will take him. You know, I mean, that goes without saying, but, but it also goes without saying which Collaros will show up. You know, I mean, it's I want to give, as I said, Toronto the benefit of the doubt, because I know what it's like to be a player and, and play under the, under the influence of a legendary coach, possibly, like in Matthews, and just have that much extra incentive and, attitude and you practice a little bit harder, you watch film a little bit harder, you have a little bit more pep in your step, but I don't know which Toronto team is going to show up. It'll be interesting to see how this year plans out for them, because, I know they have a celebration from the 96-97 Grey Cup team, during this year, where guys are going to come in, we're walking out to the field, and just doing all this, that's all well and good, but you still have to perform as an athlete, and hopefully it can psych them up and motivate them to be better than what they really are. But it'll be interesting to see how this year pans out for Toronto.
When is that?
That game's July, or I forget the date. I know it's a Tuesday or Monday game.
A Monday game in July. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. Keep a lookout for that. We'll get you the date on that. Okay, Mike, let's finish it off here. Hamilton -3 at Toronto.
Yeah, I think you have to go Hamilton. I don't think anybody really knows what Toronto's going to show up with. This is a game that worries me a little bit, because I think this is one of those early season games you could get an upset, but I'm going to go with Hamilton.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Robert, July 24th.
July 24th?
July 24th. Does July 24th sound right? Because that's a Monday game against Ottawa.
Yes. It was Ottawa. You're absolutely right.
Okay. Excellent. Fantastic. Nice work, Brian.
You're welcome.
Excellent assist.
Way to Google stuff, Brian.
You're ready for the new season. Excellent. Right. Let's call it a show. Any last thoughts? Let's go to Brian first.
I'm just looking forward to the games, and this year my goal is to go over 500 as opposed to being 500 last year. So that's important. Last year I didn't like being 500, so going to do better this year. And I'm using this as my springboard for the NFL Pick'em show, where I should have won it last year if I didn't make the stupid damn pick and stuff. So
yeah, I believe I won that, didn't I?
So anyway, I'll continue on with the.
I won the CFL Pick'em too, didn't I?
Brian, man, you're on the road to redemption.
We're going to do a high school Pick'em so I could get like a triple crown. Go ahead.
Nah. Don't worry about the Red Blacks over there, Brian. You're going to redeem yourself this year. I can feel it. Okay, Robert. Last thoughts from you?
I mean, it's kind of a bittersweet, special year for me, for the simple fact that I had the utmost respect for Coach Matthews and and what he taught me and what I understood from the game of the CFL. It hit me like a punch. Even talking to some of my former teammates. It's like we're like, wow, Don was a great guy. We all say that verbatim across the board, regardless of his coaching, regardless of his winning. He was the kind of coach that he was a player's coach. We all respected him. So it's a big loss to the game, but it's a gain for the game because they knew they had a legend who cared about this game so much and brought a lot of great athletes and a lot of Hall of Famers into this game. So this year goes out to Don Matthews.
Rest in peace, Coach Matthews.
Yeah, great coach.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great, Mike, you want to take us out of here?
Well, number one, I'd like to thank Robert for joining us again this year on the Pick'em Show, and tell everybody we'll be here every Monday night. Shows will always be up on Tuesday. But Robert, it's always an honor to have you on the show, and I think it's even I think it's even a bigger deal just because Coach Matthews is passing, so you can tell people what kind of man he was, not just what kind of coach he was. But I think there's no doubt he was one of the greatest coaches in CFL history.
Oh, not even close.
But, I mean, it's really, great to have you on the show this year again. I really look forward to it. I look forward, talking football with Brian. And, yeah, there's Oz also. But
yes. I may or may not be here.
Right. You're going to be here. You ain't got no choice. I'll come hold the phone to your ear.
Right, okay. For the Grueling Truth CFL Pick'em Show, I'm Oz Davis. For my co-host, Mr. Robert Drummond, Mr. Mike Goodpaster, and Mr. Brian Schmidt, we are out of here. We'll talk to you next week, and enjoy week 1 of the 2017 CFL season.